Who just called in?
Hi, this is Jenny.
Hi, Jenny.
David Smith, good morning.
Good morning.
That's how we get out of the office. I promise you. We did. We got one of the law
So, then if you listen to him, then he said he was right.
So it's Pennsylvania.
Commissioner Metzger,
Yes,
are you going to do the prayer and pledge?
yes.
Okay.
I have everything ready to go, just let me know.
Okay.
Morning, Commissioner.
Good morning, how are you?
Good.
Yeah, we're good to go.
All right, we're ready when you are.
Okay. After we please rise for the opening prayer and pledge allegiance. Heavenly Father, we gather this morning and ask for your guidance and wisdom throughout our meeting. Help us to share meaningful discussion that will allow our communities to grow closer and prosper. Fill us full of your grace as we make decisions that will affect our constituents. May our decisions please you, Father, and be full of your wisdom. Lord, yesterday we recognized the 31st anniversary of the American Disabilities Act. May we always take time to see how we can help and assist those with disabilities. We thank you for their lives and the talents that they possess and share with mankind. We lift up those that work with individuals with diverse abilities. Give them strength, compassion, understanding, and guidance. May it always be with your love, Lord. Father, we also pray for our active military and veterans each and every day. As we remember 68 years ago today, when the Korean War ended, we think about the 40,000 American soldiers who paid the ultimate sacrifice and the 100,000 that were wounded. We thank you for those veterans that did make it home safely. Over 5 million people, more than World War II and Vietnam combined, died in that war, Lord. We pray that those that protect us daily will never see that type of bloodshed. We ask you to protect and wrap your arms around each and every one of them and protect them daily, Father. Provide them and their families a sense of calmness and peace as they serve. Now we ask for your watchful eye over our meeting and your grace. These things we humbly pray in your name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. time we'll convene the Commissioners' public meeting. We'll ask for approval of the minutes of the previous meeting.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, so carried. And we'll have public comment on agenda items only at this time.
I don't see any. We don't seem to have any.
No?
Okay. And we'll move on.
We have a proclamation to present today. Commissioner Marabito is going to read. It's for Paralegal Week and Paralegal Day.
So Lori Spangler. Lori, do you want to, I'm going to read this, and then we certainly would like you to recognize any of the paralegals who are here, and also anyone who would like to speak. Okay? All right. Proclamation, Paralegal Week, July 26th to the 30th, 2021. Paralegal Day, July 30th, 2021. Whereas the practice of law is a challenging and complex endeavor, one in which the rights, liberties, and safety of our citizens has been protected and preserved for centuries. And whereas members of the bar require knowledgeable and reliable assistance to fulfill the duties of their profession, paralegals have become an invaluable source of support in law offices, providing lawyers with a variety of skilled professional services throughout their practice. And whereas paralegals are highly educated, trained, and experienced professionals with expertise in legal and case research, interviewing clients and witnesses, legal and correspondence writing, and other critical aspects of successful and efficient law practices. And whereas the value of talented paralegals is often overlooked by the general public, but their worth is never underestimated by the lawyers and firms for whom they work. Now, therefore, we, the Lycoming County Commissioners in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, do hereby proclaim July 26th to the 30th, 2021 as Paralegal Week, and July 30th, 2021 as Paralegal Day. We encourage all citizens to recognize the efforts and accomplishments of paralegals. Given under our hand and seal of Lycoming County, City of Williamsport on this 27th day of July, 2021, signed Lycoming County Commissioners Scott L. Metzger, Chairman, Tony Armiser, Vice Chairman, and Richard Marabito, Secretary. And I might add, we have paralegals here from the county also.
Great.
Yes. So let's give a round of applause for all of them. Would you like to come up and speak? Come to the microphone here. Go ahead, you go right over there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm bringing up the president of the Legal Association.
Okay, you know what, if you say that into the mic, because is it being live streamed?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's being live streamed.
Thank you, Commissioner, for the proclamation. I'd like to introduce Shelby Weber, who is a paralegal and president of the Lycoming County Paralegal Association, and she's going to say a few words.
Okay, I just would like, on behalf of the Lycoming County Paralegal Association, I'd like to thank the county commissioners for this proclamation, and Lori Spangler from Textron Lycoming Engines for arranging this special event for us. Thank you so much for Paralegal Week and the proclamation. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. You know, you're absolutely right, as they said in the proclamation, that the behind-the-scenes work, before it gets presented in the courtroom or before it gets presented at the table for a transaction, is done by a lot of talented people who work very hard. And we do appreciate that. And people in the public should know that there are jobs for paralegals in the county, right, as well as in the private sector, and we appreciate Textron Lycoming stepping forward and contacting us. Mr. Chairman, I don't know if you have also some comments you'd like to add. We have a couple of folks from them at the podium now.
I just want to thank them for what they do. It's one of the hardest working professions in the system, the law system. The work that they put in behind the scenes is incredible, and they're really a part of the engine that makes the process go. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to grab a photo here, right?
Do you want others?
Yes, please. Okay, come on, paralegals. Here, try not to keep. Oh, no, no, don't. By the way, after we're done, you guys can go on the other side. After we're done, you can introduce the paralegals that are here. That would be great. Okay, thank you.
One more.
Okay, thank you.
You want to just have them introduce you?
Okay, we have Sue Jones and Stephanie Tempesco, Pam Tasecki, Shelby Weber, Rebecca Hovenstein, and Amanda Hausnick. So, thank you.
Okay.
Very happy to be here.
You're welcome.
And Lori Spangler.
Thank you very much. Absolutely.
Commissioner, I also want to pass on, I'm sorry. I
Say hello
can't be
to our
there in
friends
person.
over at Lycoming.
I shall.
Okay.
Thanks again.
Commissioner,
Yes, sir.
I just also want to pass on to them, I'm sorry I can't be there in person to see them.
Yes, please, yeah, but Commissioner Metzger unfortunately couldn't be here physically due to some health issues, but, and our other commissioner is on vacation. So we do apologize, but if Commissioner Massera was here, he would definitely give you greetings also.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to the informational series. Jerry Kennedy from Informational Services is going to speak today. This is the series County Departments and What They Do for You.
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning, Jerry.
Jerry Kennedy, Director of Information Services for Lycoming County. Currently, we have a very large umbrella in information services. Encompasses budget of about $3.6 million. Plus our capital projects that we do on the technical side every year. Information services covers some little-known functions in the county, such as our mailroom. We process all the mail in and out of the county every day. We also have telephone services that, believe it or not, we still have a switchboard. Somebody has to answer the phone calls every day. And I was thinking that's probably the one place that we actually touch the public. But then I was reminded this morning that we have this little department called Voter Services. And in which case, that also falls under that $3.6 million budget. And we run the elections twice a year. One would think that a couple weeks prior to each election, we're good to go. That's not the case anymore. Our voter services staff is running pretty much full tilt year-round to prepare for the next election. Every 6 months, it's a 6-month cycle. Preparing for the next election, the next ballot, getting everybody filed and happy and ready to run. And then actually conducting the election itself on election day, collecting the ballots, counting the ballots. That is a large undertaking anymore with the large mail-in ballot changes that have happened in the last year and a half, 2 years. Takes a huge effort all from staff all across the county, not just information services and the voter services staff. We actually take volunteers from every department and require volunteers from every department in order to get the job done in a timely manner. So what does that takes care of the basics. We have a print shop. Not a lot of people have print shops anymore, but we save a lot of money for the citizens by having a print shop. Twice a year, just talked about the elections, we have to print ballots. A lot of counties actually contract that out and are double, triple the cost of what we're able to do it internally. And we're actually able to do it more efficiently in a more timely manner and wait for those final changes that always happen, that come down from the courts or come down from the state. When a ballot has to change or verbiage has to change. And a lot of counties have to pay to have their ballots reprinted. We don't have to do that in most cases. We're able to adjust and save a lot of money that way. On the technical side, we have 8 staff. Overall, in information services, we have 24 positions, but we have 8 staff that are dedicated to technical operations. And what does that mean? That means we keep the computers running, to keep it simple. But for the most part, our technical operations are behind the scenes. We don't interact with the public very often, if at all. But everything that the county does is based on a computer. If you walk into the register recorder's office, if you want to look up a deed from 1970 or 1770, it's done on a computer today. If you walk into the pathonetary's office and you want to check the status of a case, whether it's this year or 10 years ago, that stuff's done on a computer. If you walk into the sheriff's office and you want to get a license to carry, that's done on a computer. We have about 70 to 80 servers in the background running to keep our operations going. We support 911 operations. We support our RMS operations. Any place that there's a computer, we have our hand there supporting the operations for the public. You pull up on the scale at the landfill, there's a computer, there's a signature pad, there's a card swipe that swipes your credit card or swipes your driver's license. All of that stuff is done electronically nowadays, and is all supported by our technical staff. We also have development staff that support our applications, running behind the scenes. And then we get into cell phones, tablets, laptops, Zoom meetings. For as many Zoom meetings as we have, Information Services has actually been able to manage our costs over the last year and a half, 2 years of our Zoom functionality with literally 15 licenses. Of all the 200, 300 people that have Zoom accounts across the county, we've been able to manage the cost of those services with a mere 15 licenses, and we have not had anyone do without. There are people that have one meeting a year and they'll get their license for the one meeting that they need, and we manage that and move on. We do a lot of shaving of the pennies. Everyone knows how much a cellular data plan costs. We have lots of cellular devices out in the field. We actually manage those in group plans. Being a government body, we have access to different plans that the public does not. We manage those monthly so that we see who's using data, who's not using data, and we kind of level it all out to equalize the cost. Instead of being $60 or $80 a month per device, we're anywhere from $10 to $20 a device per month. So we do a lot to shave savings where we can. Some of it's pennies, some of it's dollars. Then there's times that we can negotiate with our vendors and contracts and shave thousands on capital projects and recurring costs. I think that's all I have for today.
Well, that's certainly a lot, and we appreciate all that you and your staff do, and we know that it's not easy with the ever-changing technology. People who came to work for us 10 or 12 years ago aren't even using the same technology that we use today. So on behalf of Commissioner Masser, who's not here, we want to thank you and myself, and I'm sure Commissioner Metzger has some comments too.
Yes, Jerry, I want to thank you and your staff. I often refer to your department as the central nervous system of the county. There isn't a department that you and your staff don't interact with, in touch, and work with. The savings that you provide, I just sit here thinking, first of all, what you did to the coronavirus pandemic and how you kept everybody and your staff kept everybody operating through tablets. They were able to take them in the field, take them home to do work. So the county didn't miss a beat during that time. And I'm sitting here thinking of different ways you save money. One example is video conference hearings. So that for instance, if you have a state inmate, we don't have to go pick up that state inmate across the state and bring them back for a hearing. We can have that done over video conference, which saves transportation, saves the cost of the sheriffs going back and forth, safety factors of transporting an inmate back and forth, and then they can have a 10-minute hearing or 15-minute hearing can be held through video conferencing through the IT department instead of hours of transportation back and forth, often taking a day or two. That's one example that the cost savings. And I could go on and on with the savings that your department has presented to the county over the years. We want to thank you very much, you and your staff, for what you do for the county, and greatly appreciated. And again, you're the central nervous system of the county because you deal with every department.
All right, thank you.
Please convey to your staff that we appreciate what they do.
Will do.
Okay.
Moving on to 3.0, Krista Rogers, bid openings for inmate detention supplies and clothing.
We have 6 bidders, however, this is a multi-line bid, so they are open and available for viewing on PennBid. That's really all I have. Do you want to know who the bidders are, or you have that sheet? Do you want it read into the minutes? Okay. Keystone Advertising Specialties, Bob Barker Company Incorporated, Victory Supply Incorporated, Goldtex Corp., Charmtex Incorporated, and MTJ American.
Okay, thank you, Krista.
You're welcome.
4.0, accounts payable cash requirements report with Brandy Clemens.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm here to seek your approval for the Accounts Payable Cash Requirements Report for invoices due through August 4th to be paid on July 28th in the amount of $4,043,185.81.
Commissioner, do you have any questions?
No, just to note again that 1.8 million of this is debt service, almost 45%. RMS is eating up another 21% at 862,000. Grants are over $1 million. So actually, the county property tax general revenue is 328,594. But we're definitely cycling through a lot of cash this month.
Yeah,
Yes.
this week's a big one.
This
But to
week.
note that the county general is 8.13% of the tax rate, which
Right.
is good.
Right.
And the pass-throughs are $1,022,000.
A million of that is the ERAP, the Emergency Rental Assistance Program, passing through to STEP. So that's a big chunk of the check run
Okay.
this week.
So that's good. Now the debt service. Do you know approximately how much of that is principal? Probably the majority of it, right?
Probably this time, yes. This particular one is principal and interest.
And obviously that principal is property taxes that we're paying.
Yes.
But we're paying down some of the debt in accordance with our terms and so forth.
I would say at least $1 million or a little over $1 million is probably principal only.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions?
No,
Okay, a motion to accept.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second. All in favor,
Aye.
side? Aye, so carried. Thank you,
you.
Brandy.
5.0, personnel actions with Roxanne Greco.
Morning, Roxanne.
Good morning, Commissioners. At the prison, we have Danielle T. Smith, full-time replacement female correctional officer relief, pay grade CO1, $17.46 an hour, effective August 1st, 2021. Also, at the prison, Luke Chubb is a full-time replacement correctional officer relief, pay grade CO1, $17.46 an hour, effective August 1st, 2021. At the prison, Jennifer Geis is a full-time replacement female correctional officer relief, pay grade CO1, $17.46 an hour, effective August 1st, 2021. And finally, in planning and community development, Christopher Hodges is a full-time replacement promotion, subdivision and land development administrator, pay grade 7, $35,642.46, annually effective August 8th, 2021.
Any questions or comments?
Nope, these are all replacements.
Yep. Okay, have a motion?
I'll move to approve.
I'll second. All fair side?
Aye.
Aye, so carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, Roxanne. This time we'll recess to commit public meeting and convene the Board of Assessment.
We have Brooke Wright on the line.
Good morning,
Brooke.
Commissioners. Brooke Wright from the County Assessment Office. I'm asking for approval on 2 real estate refunds. The first one is for William Bartow. His house was destroyed by fire on February 14, 2021. The refund amount is $259.76. The next refund is for Samuel and Jane Slattery. This was a mathematical error. The owner's acreage was corrected from 1.80 acres to 1.29 acres. The refund amount is $108.34.
Okay, can I have a motion?
I'll move to approve the refund.
I'll second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, so carried.
Thank you, Commissioners.
During the Board of Assessments revision, and we'll reconvene the Commission closed meeting at this time.
7.0, action items. Director Mcdermott is going to do 7.1, voting on revising policy 702.
Okay, good morning, Director.
Morning, Commissioners. Seeking your approval on a revision to policy 702, which is the Commissioners' meetings and agenda items. Basically, it's a revision of the suspenses for when items are due, and if items are not turned in on time, then they have to go through me for approval.
Did this take into account the changes in the public law on agendas also?
Yes.
Yeah, so this, the public understands that last week or so, there was a passage, a signing by the governor of a new law on public meeting and the Sunshine Act, and this updates that information also. Right?
Yes, Commissioner, and we were actually doing those things prior.
Okay.
One of the big items is posting an agenda, I think 24 hours prior. So,
Right.
we do our best to make that happen.
Yeah.
Okay, can I have a motion?
I'll move to approve.
I'll second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, so carried.
7.2, Tiffany, Tiffany, sorry, you say your last name.
Krajewski.
Sorry. Voting to approve the 2021 PHFA conditional award letter.
Good morning,
Morning,
Commissioners.
Tiffany.
I'm presenting the 2021 Fair Conditional Award Letter for your approval. Approving the letter, the award letter, is the next step in the process for the 2021 Fair funding that was submitted in November of 2020. Once PHFA receives the signed letter, they'll provide us with a grant contract. The 2021 fair grant will be $948,000 in total, and will fund 7 programs. Does anyone have any questions?
Commissioner, any questions?
No, just for the public's information, it's 25,000 to step, right?
That'll cover the urgent need program.
Oh, the urgent need. But you have listed here where the 948,000 is going.
Yeah.
Do you want to just let the public know what that is? Because
Yeah. Do you want me to cover the amount as well?
Yeah.
Or- Okay. Okay. So the first program is administered by STEP. It's the urgent need program that has $25,000. Second is Habitat for Humanity Memorial Homes Scott Street. That's $63,000. YWCA Liberty House, that is $70,000. American Rescue Workers Rental Assistance Program, that's $100,000. Transitional Living Centers Master Leasing Program, that's $200,000. STEPS Homes in Need Program, that's $225,000. And then STEPS Supportive Housing Program, that's $265,000.
So just for the public to understand, the best way to have a solid community is to make sure that we have people in housing and that we do what we can to keep people from becoming homeless, whether it's seniors who are in their homes who have a roof collapse or something like that. That would be the urgent need, emergency care, and not just seniors, but anyone, to the programs like Liberty House and Master Leasing and so forth. It's really important, and we're lucky to have this money that comes out of the gas drilling funds that the state gets and sends over to PHFA.
All right.
Take that motion.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, so carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tiffany.
7.3 with Director McDermott, approving agreement of sale between Lycoming County and City of Williamsport.
Commissioners, seeking your approval this morning for the agreement of sale between the city and the county. I know we call it an agreement of sale. It is the legal term for the transaction that is essentially the land swap of the land below Executive Plaza that the city owns, and the land that's below the parking deck that we own. And we're going to swap those two properties so both property and buildings are owned by the owner.
Okay, any comments? We want to thank the city for working with us on this process. This will help us move closer to making the sale of the Executive Plaza a reality. So we look forward to continuing that signed agreement and moving forward. Have a motion to accept?
I'll move.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Okay, I'm going to register a no vote on this, and I'm going to make my comments afterwards.
Okay.
So here's the reason why I think that, and I think that a 1-1 vote will allow us to accomplish this. I think that there has not been as much transparency as there should be with this process, not as a result of anybody intentionally keeping information, but by misunderstanding. I spoke to some folks, and apparently the city council never saw appraisals of the land under our property and the land under 3rd Street Plaza. The land that's under our property, Executive Plaza, includes the parking lot. outside that window. The city has graciously allowed us to use the parking lot for $1 a year since May 1998. And I just want to give you an example of the value of that parking lot. The way this document is written, that parking lot transfers with the land underneath this building to the county. The land on 3rd Street parking garage is owned by the county. That land transfers to the city. And that's very good, except that this parking lot belongs to the city and the people of the city. And it has economic value. In a third-class city that is desperate for revenue, we know that parking spaces rent for between $60 and $120, depending on where they're located. When it's right downtown, you're probably going to get $120 a month. But let's say, for the sake of argument, you got $100 a month. It brings in almost $50,000 a year in revenue for the city. Over 5 years, that's almost $250,000. So, even though the city right now has a lot of money because of the federal American Rescue Plan, that money is not going to continue forever. And having an income stream, I think, is important to the city. The strength of our third-class city is going to determine the strength of this county. Because quite frankly, the city itself is under pressure. It is the home to major nonprofits, and while they provide jobs, they do not pay any property taxes. So we see a continuous cycle of expenses going up because we're required, Williamsport is required to have a police department paid, they're required to have a paid fire department. So I think that any chance that we as elected officials have to have income streams come into the city, we need to make sure that we do that. In essence, what would be happening is that the city taxpayers would be subsidizing on behalf of the whole county by moving that parking lot. It is true that if we sell this building with the parking lot, we probably will get more money. So then a private developer will basically be in control of the parking lot and will reap that $250,000 that I mentioned over 5 years. It's actually probably higher because they probably would charge $120 a month. Here's the crazy part. And by the way, the document does say in paragraph 11J that that the transfer, once it's consummated, that the county's obligated to leave it open to the public like we do now. Right now, we leave it open to the public on weekends, and we leave it open to the public after 5 o'clock. And that's good, because that helps our downtown. And anyone who's been down here at night knows that people park there. What I think we need to be concerned about is the long-term health of this city, of Williamsport, as well as the rest of the county. But if we want people to come to Lycoming County from other places, we need to make sure that there are income streams and that we don't shortchange it. But specifically with this, I think that the city council was under the impression that if they swapped and didn't severed the land, that the lease would still be in effect. But in fact, in an arm's length transaction, the city officials would say, listen, you want the land under the Executive Plaza to sell Executive Plaza. We'd like you to sever the parking lot, or we'll pay to sever it, and abrogate the lease. Let the lease not be in effect. We can then execute a new lease if we want between the county and the city so that the county has use of the parking lot. But what we do is in the long term we protect the integrity of the finances of the city. The fact that the city council members didn't see any appraisal on either this or the other land should give us pause as to whether or not they were in possession of all the facts. And, you know, we should be concerned because when the Liberty Arena was developed, the parking lot that was across from the movie theater was put under the control of a private party, I believe the developer. And now I think you have to either pay to park there, or I've heard of people being booted for parking there. We want to keep space an asset. This is an asset that belongs to the people of Williamsport. And it needs to stay with the city of Williamsport, in my humble opinion. And others may disagree, but I think at the very least, when looking at the issue, they should have all of the information in front of them and not be under the impression that somehow the lease would be binding on the land regardless of a swap. I know, I've been saying this frankly for 4 years. I've said it to the last Board of Commissioners, I said it to this Board of Commissioners. I was concerned when I saw that this had come through City Council and the Mayor's office. When I started to do some research, I found that it was not able to be vetted in the way that I think that people would want to in terms of being able to see appraisals and so forth. So that's I think that we should send it back to them, Mr. Chairman, and if they decide after reviewing it that they don't want to sever the parking lot and they want to turn it over after they've looked at the appraisals and so forth, so be it. That's their choice. I would not tell them how to run it, but I certainly would not want people to make a decision without having all the facts in front of them.
Well, Commissioner, you have expressed your opposition to this. I understand that. But today, I've been blindsided by this, to put it frankly, because I thought you were finally in agreement with this, which is fine. You can vote no on it. I'm going to ask council if it's okay to table this until Commissioner Massar returns next week. In response to the city, thank you. In response to the city, we have given all information to the city months ago. Months ago. I have been constantly asking when this would be reviewed and signed. I was told by the mayor it was placed on the agenda 2 weeks ago, when it was not. They did finally put it on the agenda last Thursday, and they passed it. They have had all the information. From the council members I spoke to, including the mayor, they fully understood what this meant. What this means is that we can get more for the building. They have the land underneath the parking deck, which they were very happy about. And at the same time, we can put into our deed or an MOU with the new owner how that parking can be used for the city. We can continue to utilize it for county parking. It can continue to be open for the public at night. And we can put that into the deed or do an MOU going forward. So I'm fine with tabling it. We'll wait till Commissioner Massar returns. Whatever the city wants, we can get over to them. They've had plenty of time to make a decision, and they were given all the information. So the fact that you state that they didn't have all the information or they made a decision, I can't speak for the city. I can't speak for council, and I will not speak for the city or council. But if I'm going to make a decision, I'm going to make sure that I have all the information on it before I say yes. And the vote the other night was a 6-0 vote. So they had the information. If they didn't feel comfortable, they should have asked for it if there was something missing. But my understanding, the solicitors have gone back and forth on this issue. They've discussed this. The mayor's advised of it. Council's been advised of it. That was my understanding. So we'll follow up on this. We'll make sure everybody is clear. But we're not going to drag this out for more months because we want to move forward with this building. We want to sell this building. The county has too much property, too much real estate, and we're going to start selling things. And the last board wanted to sell this building. We're now almost 2 years into my term, and nothing's been done. We have the opportunity to finally move forward and do something here, and we're going to continue to pursue it.
So Mr. Chairman, just to be clear, we're not tabling it. It's been rejected. The vote was to approve it, and the vote was 1-1. It's not a vote to table. It's a vote to basically it's not been approved. So it goes back to the city council now, and they can do. But understand that, listen, and I'm not going to point any fingers here. I got the final signed sales agreement 2 minutes before this meeting started. Okay? I got it 2 minutes ago before 10 o'clock. Okay? No, wait, let me finish, okay? And I'm not blaming because people are very busy, okay? I understand that. But something that's important, it is a fact that we have an appraisal, and I don't know that we ever shared that appraisal or not, but I have never seen an appraisal from on just the land. Our appraisal is on the building and the land, but we have held that in abeyance because we may put it out for sale. So, and so there's no question that I'm interested in selling the building. There's no question. What I'm not interested in doing is taking advantage of the taxpayers of the city of Williamsport. And when we take away an income stream, let's say for the sake of argument, we got another $300,000 for this building with the parking lot. Basically, in 5 years, the developer makes back or less, but meanwhile, the city taxpayers don't have any revenue. I mean, I compared it to a farmer. A farmer lets his neighbor use his land for $1 a year, right? He's a gracious farmer. He lets his use it for $1 a year. After 25 years, the person who's been using it turns around and says to him, you know what, I really like that land. I'd like that land from you. And I'd like it in a swap for some other land. But meanwhile, I mean, it doesn't do anything for the city. And while the city might have been in a different position 25 years ago, right now it is really in a desperate position. So that's why I think that we need to be up front. And when city council members say they didn't see appraisals, I think, Commissioner, what happened is that the agreement sat on the desk of possibly one of the solicitors for quite a while and then was brought rather quickly to city council and said, hey, we need to get this done.
Commissioner, no, we don't know that for a fact. So
well, I was told that. So I don't know it for a fact, but it's what I was told. So, but regardless of that, why would we not want to have something that benefits all the people of the city? It's their land. They've been, you know, dealing with providing the police and the fire and everyone. That's all I'm trying to say, is that it doesn't help us to weaken the city. And taking an asset from them weakens them.
it's not taking an asset, it's exchanging an asset that makes more value for the building for the sale, and there's no revenue stream as it is now. There's no charge for parking. The city receives nothing from that parking lot.
Precisely. They've been gracious and let us use it for $1 a year.
Yeah, so when they made $1 a year off it, they're not making revenue off it.
Right, so we thank them by saying, hey, we want the land under the building, you could take the land under the parking garage, and we want your asset that generates over $50,000 a year. I mean, I think, well, anyway, that's, you know, what ends up happening is that the rest of the county gains a benefit at the behalf and on the behalf by the city taxpayers basically losing out. And they already lose out by having virtually every nonprofit and every non-taxable entity in the city. So, I mean, I just don't think it's good public policy. That's my point, that the public policy is not good in terms of strengthening our third-class city. That's why I'm so concerned about it.
Nothing against the city. They're not losing out on anything. They've exchanged. We're exchanging property. They're not losing it. If it was against it, they would not have voted 6-0 for it the other night.
If they were under the impression that the lease was going to remain in effect, if they were under the impression, and that's from my conversations, that's what I think they were under the impression of.
Commissioner, with all due respect, you knew about this Friday. I texted you and told you it was approved by council Thursday night at the council meeting. Sun Gazette actually had a big write-up on it and had it in their paper Friday, and you were advised that it had passed. So for you to receive it, 2 minutes before the meeting, yes, you received the copy, but you knew about last Friday after they had approved it at their council meeting on Thursday night.
No, this has been discussed for years. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that what matters is the final document. It doesn't matter what we discuss. It's what the final contract with people's signatures on it. That's what I mean, Commissioner.
Right.
It's not,
as you knew about, they had approved it Thursday night. I texted you.
Well, you didn't text me. I didn't get a text from you. I read it in the paper. I mean, I don't know what text you're talking about, but that has nothing to do with it. The public policy is not good policy. It's bad public policy to strip assets out of a city that is desperate for revenue. Why would we do that? Why would we basically take away from the city something that could bring them $50,000, $60,000 a year. It makes no sense. And
You're
at the
saying
end of the day,
they're going to start charging for the parking lot after we sell it.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you, sir. What?
You're stating that they're going to turn around and start charging for parking in that parking lot after we would sell it.
No, what I'm saying is that they have the capability in the future to gain revenue from the parking lot. They may continue to say to the county, listen, we'd like now to keep that. Or maybe they'll say at some point, county, you know what? We really need more than $1 a year. But the point is that the taxpayers in the city are shouldering a huge burden of all these nonprofits. So we take...
Commissioner, you're comparing apples to oranges. You're comparing nonprofits that pay nothing in taxes on a property to a parking lot that's been leased for $1 a year. If they wanted more money out of this, they would approach us a long time ago about doing a new lease. They've never discussed about putting meters up on that parking lot. They've never approached us about it. They've never even, the only reason why this is being a discussion is because this parking lot was tied to federal dollars before that building was sold to us. When it was constructed back after the fire, they received federal dollars, and that's the reason why we're having this conversation, and we have to do a land swap. Very similar to what's going on at the golf course over there with the federal dollars tied to the
That is incorrect.
contract.
Mr. Chairman, that it has nothing to do with the federal dollars at all. This was a lease as a result of a bank. It was collateral on a bank loan, and you can read the history back 35 years. It is not federal. It does nothing to do with the federal dollars. We have an agreement with the city that we can use it for $1 a year if we keep 25% of it. In fact, I want to read you a very interesting part of the agreement. You talk about the potential. Based on the terms of the lease, the current land lease payment, if the county does not occupy at least 25% of the occupiable space, would be $5,100 plus 32% of the gross rental income exceeding $5,100 and 50% of the net revenue from parking. So the city has the ability to make money off this asset, and I just think that it's not in the interest of the public for us. I mean, if you just look at the land, right? Land under one building, land under another building, that's common sense. Swap those pieces of land. You can't do anything, there's a building on it. But then all of a sudden, you turn around and you take this asset that generates cash and you say, hey, we want that too. I mean, I don't know, it's not the way I would view us as wanting to do public policy. That's my point.
Okay, Commissioner. You made Commissioner. Yes.
I just wanted to suggest that in lieu of a tabling motion, because it doesn't sound like it would pass, a 1-1 means that it didn't pass, but that's not a rejection. You could put it on again for Tuesday's meeting next week, when you presumably would have the full complement of commissioners and address it at that point in time.
Yes, that's what I'll be looking at doing. It's unfortunate that Commissioner Massar was not here today to hear this. I think that he will be in strong opposition to Commissioner Marabito's objection. He should be heard, and his point of view should be known to the public also. I want to make a note on record that both Commissioner Massar and Commissioner Marabito were notified by me last Friday that the motion had passed by 6-0 vote by City Council, and I notified them Friday. It is true that we just received a signed agreement today, but it was approved and they were notified Friday, and then there was an article in the Sun-Gazette Commissioner Marabito is now just reading. There's been no discussion since then regarding this issue between the commissioners, and we'll continue to pursue this. I think it's vital that we have the land to go with the building. It means more for the sale of the property, which I believe that the city taxpayers also pay county taxpayers dollars. So it does affect the city in the long run too, in county tax dollars. And maximizing the sale price for that building affects every resident, including city residents, in Lycoming County. So at this time, we will move forward and with the meeting.
Well, Mr. Chairman, let me just say, not only am I under no obligation to tell people how I'm going to vote, but the implication that somehow we're supposed to report our vote to you is a violation of the Sunshine Act. So the fact that I didn't bring up or say to you after reading it in the paper that, hey, I'm opposing this, has nothing to do with anything, okay? Except that it's a red herring. Number one. Number two, it is true that the county taxpayers, the city also pays county taxes. But there are 28,000 people in the city and 113,000 in the county. And just as last, I am actually going to be absent on Tuesday because I'm supposed to be on vacation. I would appreciate that we hold this off until the next meeting when all three commissioners are present.
That'd be appropriate, Commissioner. We'll make sure that you're in attendance. And I would never ask for your vote.
I know you wouldn't. I know you wouldn't.
Merely stating what had happened. Matter of fact, I believe many times I've said we cannot vote on that. We have to put that on the agenda to vote on.
Right.
I believe I've done that in many private meetings. They said several times in the past, we cannot vote on this item because we need to put it on the agenda to vote on.
Right. No, absolutely. I just want the public to understand. I don't want the public who may not know all the ins and outs think that somehow we're supposed to report to each other ahead of time how we're going to vote.
We don't do that.
I know we don't. We obviously exchange opinions, and I've obviously had an opinion on this for 4 years. It hasn't changed.
Yes, you have. You've made that clear. All I'm saying is I notified you of what happened at the meeting, so you were aware of it, so you had that information.
Yeah, you may have. I did see it in the paper. Look, at the end of the day, this isn't personal, but it's about trying to figure out what's the best policy that helps the county and the city. And, you know, the more we see the difficulties the city struggles with, the more I feel like we should do everything we can to try to help it. And not, you know, not to the detriment of the rest of the county. I mean, if this was going to change the sale by millions of dollars, it would be different. But when you're talking about, you know, the extra money, that money can be made up easily as a revenue. It's an asset. That's what I hope you guys will think about. We're not acting. If we were acting as private businessmen, we would do everything we could to secure the parking lot with the building because we know that it would sell more. But that's in our role as private businessmen. When we're working as elected officials, our goal is to try to make sure that the public policy that comes out of our decisions is one that moves the community forward. That's all I'm trying to say, Commissioner. I hope you'll reconsider the thoughts on this.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Commissioner Metzger, I'm not sure that your vote in favor was actually recorded. I think Commissioner Mirabito's negative was, but if you voted yes and that's on the record, that's fine. But if not, then before you close this matter, I suggest that you put your vote on the record.
Okay, at this time, I'm not going to put a vote on the record. What I want to do is take this back, make sure the city is completely satisfied, make sure they have all their answers, all their questions answered, because according to Commissioner Mirabito, there are some questions by some council members that have not been answered. No one has reached out to me with any questions, but I'll be glad to answer any. I believe the solicitors can answer any questions also. And we'll make sure that everybody's satisfied before we move forward. And we'll reschedule it sometime in August.
So
Is that satisfactory, Commissioner?
Yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, I don't know whether it was put up for a vote. I would think well, I can't force you to record your vote, but I think it was a 1-1 vote, and I think it should be reflected that way.
That's fine. Okay.
And then, yeah, I mean, we'll try to get back together with the city, and, you know, look, at the end of the day, all of us don't want to be hearing from constituents, oh my God, they did this, they didn't even see appraisals, or oh my gosh, they did that, and they didn't even know what was going on. And so if we make decisions with everyone understanding transparently what's going on, then we can just be held accountable for the decisions we make. That's all. And sometimes we make decisions that work well, and sometimes we don't. We're human beings, but at least we should make them with the full light of all the information there. That's my concern.
Okay, let the record reflect that I voted yes, and we'll go back to the city. Again, they voted 6-0. They didn't ask any questions of me. So we'll go back and see what they have, if they do have any additional questions. And we'll make sure everybody's satisfied, and then we'll move forward and have this put on the agenda sometime in August. And we're not going to drag this up for 6 more months.
No, nobody wants it dragged out. We want to move ahead with the sale of this building.
And so far, it has been dragged out, unfortunately.
Well, I'm not sure I'd say it's dragged out. I think that people have been tied up with, the city doesn't have half the support that we have in terms of employees and in terms of, resources, so. And frankly, the city council members serve at no cost, at no salary, so I kind of am always reluctant to be a little harsh on people, so.
Just to clarify, Commissioner Miravito, there is a salary for city council. It's a pittance, but there is a salary.
Okay, thank you for correcting that, Mr. Solicitor. How much is it?
I believe it's $3,000 per council person and maybe $3,500 for council president.
Okay, thank you for correcting.
Plus, they have their insurance paid.
And their health insurance, right, they provide.
Correct.
Yeah. So it's not a totally volunteer, it's not like some of our authority boards and so forth.
Commissioner, they work very hard. I'm not.
No, I know you know that. That wasn't my point. I know you recognize that, Mr. Chairman.
They're very good people. They work hard.
Absolutely.
Bottom line is, this has taken months when it should not have taken months.
Right.
That's my point.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are we moving on to commissioner comment now?
I don't have anything.
I don't have anything.
I don't have anything.
Okay, so then that leaves the public comment, and I do not have any online.
Do we have any in the audience?
Yes, looks like a couple, yeah.
Okay.
Morning, Commissioners. My name is Dwayne Hirschberg. I'm with Habitat for Humanity, and I simply wanted to say thank you for the funding that was provided for the house on Diamond Street through the Fair Funds. The house dedication is going to be next Wednesday, August the 4th at 12 noon, and I would be happy for all the commissioners and Matt to attend if it fits their schedule, and just wanted to say thank you. And my address is 335 Rose Avenue in Williamsport.
Well, look, thank you very much. I'm sure Commissioner Metzger will have a comment too, but thank you for the work you do. You folks are building homes in the city using the labor of folks who are going to occupy them as well as all the volunteers, and it's a great model, and we want to thank you because it helps build up neighborhoods that are struggling.
Thank you for that gracious comment. And I would just point out too that the homeowners in the city and in the county all do pay property taxes. As a nonprofit, we do not, but all of the new homes that are built generate some income for the city and the county.
Right.
Thank you.
Wait 1 second. I think Commissioner
Yes.
Metzger is probably going to have a comment.
Yeah, just like that, they're a tremendous organization. They've done tremendous things for the community. They've taken homes that may have been torn down or blighted, and they've refurbished them. They've built new homes, and they're just, it's great. They provide teamwork for members in the community, and many friendships have developed as a result of Habitat for Humanity, and thank you for everything you do for Lycoming County.
Thank you for your gracious comments.
Good morning. My name is John Sharman, resident of Jersey Shore. I have to side with Mr. Miravito on something. Several years ago, when I served on the Jersey Shore School Board, there was a contract negotiated and between the teachers and the school district. We did not receive that contract until about 5 minutes before a meeting one night. We were going to vote on it blind, and so was the school, and so was the teachers union. I refuse to vote in favor of that contract until I have time to read it, because no matter how well it's gone over, the legal agreement can be flawed. I've seen this several times when I've served on the school board. So I do not blame Mr. Marabito for not wanting to approve it at this time. I guess my question is, has there been appraisals done on both the properties for the land value?
Well, that's a good question. For the actual land itself, I'm not clear that there was an appraisal for the land. There was an appraisal for the building with the land, and not necessarily just for the land itself.
Well, going through the experiences I've had before that we've gotten rid of a property, at the Avis Elementary School, we sold off some excess property. We definitely had an appraisal on that land at that time with it. So it seems to me that at this time, there should be two appraisals done, for one for each property, so you do know what the value is of it. And I don't see how anything can go forward without an appraisal. Official appraisals for both.
Yeah, we do have appraisals, just so
No,
you know.
on the land.
But I'm not sure it's just for the land alone, and I don't know how.
And I think that has to be cleared up.
Yeah, and if Mr. Chairman or Solicitor, if you guys have some different recollection of whether it was just for the land, I think it was for the land and the building.
I don't recall specifically enough to comment, but I know that there was adequate information in terms of the relative values of the two properties. I know the county secured an appraisal. I think the city may have gone with the assessed value, but I'm not sure about that. But in either event, both sides had the opportunity to secure appraisals.
That doesn't matter, J. David. You're going to have, the public should have appraisals. Both of those properties should have an appraised value on them.
Yeah,
I'm suggesting to you, Mr. Sharman, that there was an assessment of the values, of the relative values of the two properties.
Yeah.
The properties or the land itself. There's a distinction.
Yeah. No, it was, just so you know, I think the problem was that, from what I understand, City Council didn't get to see it. They didn't actually see
Well, and I don't know how anybody on City Council could vote for in favor unless they saw they knew what the values were on it. I'm not a resident of Williamsport, but with it. But
well, and I'm not faulting them. I don't know what, but I don't understand.
But I can see not wanting to vote on an agreement that's handed to you 2 minutes beforehand with everything, because I've seen in Jersey Shore some of things that involved the school board that council made mistakes on in the past with it. So that is my caution with it, that things have to be read over before you have to read it and not take somebody's word for it as to what you're voting for. And the other question I would like to ask, and not taking sides in it, the legal fiasco that the counties went through, can we have a figure put forward as to what the legal expenses were for both sides?
With the with which one,
with the county controller, just what you went through?
Yeah, I mean, we can figure that out. You're entitled to know how much.
And I also think there's been an appraisal done on the buildings and lands. I don't think that can be kept private either. I think that's public information as to what the value is here and what the value of the property over that the parking deck is.
And you want to know how much in legal fees?
Yeah, but I still think what kind of appraisals there were cannot be held privately. Private. That's public information.
We'll try to gather the.
And also, Mr. Metzger.
Wait, just
okay.
Mr. Chairman, I don't know. Just so you know, Mr. Sharman, if we're offering a building for sale, we may not be obligated to say what an appraisal was, because it. And Mr. Solicitor, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it is It can be proprietary, I think, because we don't want to diminish the ability to get the highest for the sale price.
Somebody's all gonna already know what the appraisal is on it, believe me.
Well, that may be true.
You know, and the other way on the sale of the building, how are you going to do it? Are you going to do it through commercial real estate, or are you going to do it up for bid, or are you gonna put this place up for auction? That's the other thing that has to be decided.
Right.
And I just have one last comment. The chamber wasn't as crowded as what it was the last time when I was here. I don't believe, as far as the controversy at the Brown Library goes, that the commissioners went through the proper channels in order to try to get the books removed that they questioned. I thought the county commissioners were out of line on that. What comes next? Are you going to start telling the school districts what they should pass and what they shouldn't, and what they present to the kids, and what books they should read and what they shouldn't? That's a slippery slope. Thank you.
There's a comment on YouTube by MC Green. She hopes you will table the issue. There's too many questions. Just so you know. I believe she was talking about the
Parking?
properties.
Okay.
That's my assumption. She didn't say. And then that's all. Commissioner Metzger,
Anything else?
do you have anything else?
No, there's no other comment here. There's no one here, I mean, there are a couple people here, but no one's raising their hand to make a comment.
Okay.
So our next meeting is August 3rd at 10 o'clock.
Okay.
Okay.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're still live.
Good luck with the
Yeah, I'll do it.